Okay, I'm going to be going over how to use a set of data points like we have here in this example, and how to create a table using Desmos, which is an online graphing calculator, which is amazing because it's free. So we're going to make a table in Desmos, and from this data that we have, we're going to create a cubic function. So taking data points and creating a cubic function. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up desmos.com, and I'm going to say launch calculator. So here's our lovely Desmos calculator, and then I'm going to go to my box here, and this little plus sign, if I hover over it, it says add item. So f of x, that's if I wanted to input a function. This is if I want to input a note. I want to input a table because I have data points to enter. Now, if I'm looking at the data points here, let me pull this to the side, and then the data points that I want, pull this to the side. So example 7, it says the data set represents the average fuel consumption for cars. So here's the year, and then my Y will be the average fuel consumption and in gallons, and it looks like it's going to be kind of, let's see, it increases at first, then decreases a little bit, then increases. So this might be a cubic function. Let's see how accurate of a cubic function it is. So in my x values here, I'm going to type in all the years. So 1984, it was 495, and in 1985, it was 505. Okay, so I'd enter all those data points. That's going to take a little bit of time, so I entered it beforehand. So here are all my data points that I entered. Once I enter my data points, then I first want to find the data points on the graph. So I'm looking at my graph now and I don't see them anywhere. That's because, let's look at my x values. They start at 1984, but my x-axis starts at 0. That means I'm going to have to be searching all the way to 1984. That's going to take forever to scroll. So instead, I'm going to go to this little graph settings bar. Here you can set what window you want to see your axis. So right now my x-axis is at negative 2.1, which is right here, and then goes to 17.8. That's my view of the x-axis. Well, if my x values start at 1984 and the maximum is 1987, then I want to be looking at my data points. I'm going to say around, let's just say 1950 to let's say 2050. So that gives us 100 years, a little bit before, a little bit after. And then now let's look at my y values. My y values start at 495. And let's see, the lowest goes, let's see, to 443, and then the highest looks like 538. So I'm going to say on my y-axis, I want it to start at, let's just say 400, and the largest we can say goes to 600. Or we can do it even lower, let's say 350. Okay, so now I can start seeing my points. So I'm gonna just click away from that box. Now that I've set my windows, my x and y value, now I can see my points. So I want to see what a cubic function will look like. I want you guys to hover over a second box. And because we're working with specifically x1 and y1, we have to put x1 and y1 in this box. So I'm going to say y and then the number 1. And then I have to put this little squiggly line here. This squiggly line means about, because this cubic function isn't going to go through every point perfectly, but it's going to be an estimation. And that little squiggly line is above your tab key on the computer. So now I'm going to have the general equation for a cubic function. So that's ax1. This will be the common mistake the students will forget. Don't forget x1, because looking back at our data points, we want x1. Okay, so let's go back. x1, we're talking about a cube. And then I'm going to put my cursor down, plus 2 x1, don't forget the 1, or sorry, we're going to say not 2, b, bx1 squared, and then we're going to say plus cx, this is just the general form for a cubic function, 1x1 plus d. So that's our general form. Make sure all of your x's are in x1, x1, x1. And now I can see my graph here. So looking at my graph, this looks like my regular cubic function is going up and then down, and then it's going to go back up again. It has that little curve. And it's actually pretty accurate. It's a pretty good estimation for my data. So using this function, I can actually plug in different years in my x and see what my average fuel consumption would be by plugging in the y. So here it says A is equal to 0.058, so I'd put that in for my A. And then my B is equal to negative 345, so I'd put that in for B. C is 683,000, so that's my C value. And then my D value is ridiculous. It's, let's see, 2, negative 451 million. So with this, plugging in A, B, C, and D, now I have my cubic function, and this is the answer that I want you guys to actually put on your website in the content summary table. So that's how we would create a table of values and create a cubic function best fit from those values.